And welcome back to Max Sports. AWA Wrestling, there are wrestlers and there are legends. And I am with AWA Wrestling legend, Nick Bockwinkle. Nick, welcome back to Milwaukee.
Thank you very much. It's been one of the good towns in my life, and I've spent many nights here being slammed and pounded around the ring here and the whole Milwaukee area. And I know this is Crusher country, and God bless him, he just went to the big arena in the sky. And I do have to say, always respected, always, he was tough. He was just what he was. He was that barrel-chested, muscle-bound, South Milwaukee neighborhood beer-drinking boy. And so we lost a good man there. He was always a good representative of the profession.
During your days in the AWA, you had wrestled with wrestlers such as Ray the Crippler Stevens, but you were also part of the family, and that was the Heenan family. Can you talk a little bit about that?
It was just a thing that kind of just formulated. Bobby Heenan is a dynamic personality. Ironically, he would be the world's champion of managers, but that was also because he was a fantastic wrestler. There were nights where my plane was late going into a city, and they'd say, "Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Bockwinkle won't be here, but you'll still have a World's Tag Team Championship match," because Stanley Blackburn's been called, and he's ordered Mr. Heenan to sub for Mr. Bockwinkle. Well, the people would cheer like they got this tremendous bonus, and what they didn't realize is that he was as good as Stevens or as me. And so then he was part of the family, and then Bob Orton Jr. became part of the family, and Bobby Duncan became part of the family, and of course there was Mr. Jack Lanza. So Bobby Heenan had, so to speak, a pretty fair-sized family. He was tremendous talent.
What could you describe wrestling back then to what it is today? Is that possible to do?
It's difficult. The only thing is that as our style of life seems to be constantly getting faster, or we're always more eager to consume or to move. They got to take more fantastic chances with their body in the ring. A lot of the stuff that they do, I mean, I respect it, I admire it. Would I necessarily try to participate to that level? I'm not sure I would. I prefer to keep wrestling, you might say, down on the mat, which in amateur wrestling, that's where it's at, and get it rope high. That would be too bad, but what some of these young guys do scares me to death. And I offer free body slams to anybody who wants to know about that. And I tell them, I say, well, I'll give you a 50% discount. I'm only going to drop you from 3 feet instead of 6 feet. And they go, no, that's okay. I mean, we don't even want the 3 feet. We don't even want the 50% discount because it all hurts. It all hurts tremendously. And I've always said, you want a free body slam? Come on.
A lot of the wrestlers today, they try to cross promote. You were one of the first to make guest appearances on programs.
Monkeys was, needless to say, a very popular TV show back at that time. And I had a couple of buddies who worked as assistant directors on the show. And so they said, go get a Screen Extras Guild card, and which I went and did. And so I lived in LA at the time, and so I could go in the daytime and get on the TV show, work on the Monkeys, and make some very decent money. And then had plenty of time to go wrestle that night in Southern California. So living in Southern California with friends, working in the movie industry, small parts such as what you're referring to, but I mean not a big television career.
What was it like working for Vern Gott?
Challenging. He was very, as a lot of successful guys were at a young age, being that he was, AAU champion in college and the whole thing. He was, I guess, what I would call challenging. And other than the fact that he had a boss's position, but I always, somehow or another, I think my father kind of taught me regardless of who the man is, do your best. Force him to respect you, which is what I try to do. So I never hesitated 1 minute putting the boots to him.
The wrestlers coming up today, what would you tell them getting into the profession?
It is so difficult today with really only being the one organization, and that is WWE, is the major organization. And then you have a number of smaller organizations around the country, but none of them where a guy can wrestle and support himself. It's almost like a hobby in that sense. And I just feel bad that it is not a system that is necessarily improved for the wrestlers. They take far more chances with their bodies. Their schedule is unbearable. I mean, my wife used to drop me off 30 minutes before my flight left, got out of the car, bye, honey, walk to the gate. You can't do that anymore. You're at an airport an hour and a half at the minimum early before your plane. And then you got to change, you know what I mean, the travel and the arena. I mean, it's not the great profession that I enjoyed for so many years.
You know, the one thing that, as many fans were here this evening, they all said, you look great. You really look great. I mean, it's, you know, Nick Bockwinkle, I remember in the 70s, you really haven't changed that much. I'm not saying that in sincerity. What's the trick?
Well, the trick is that I know what the secret is that in the same essence that I moved along for 20 years, your eyeballs got 20 years older. So, you know, I don't know. I mean, maybe I do, maybe I don't. I don't know. I look at my face every morning when I get up, and I go. I never looked as good as say like Rick Martel. Yeah, I mean,
you've been around plenty of times.
Jim Brunsell, you know, some of those good-looking young guys.
What's your lasting impression of the people and fans of Milwaukee that you entertained for so many years?
Great crowd. Great. Pretty much great sports fans. Not only the wrestling, but baseball, all the sports right here. I mean, it's Milwaukee's always been a good town to me. I've always liked it. You know, and so you'd love to come back anytime.
I understand. We'd like to have you back. Wrestling legend Nick Bockwinkle here on Max Sports.